1, 2, 3.
Oh.
We're now live. Okay, there we go. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jimmy and Wals here with the CLT Life, back for the first show of 2023.
What's up, man?
What's going on? Yes. Happy New Year. It's I think we took about 2 or 3 weeks off. Took some time off for the holidays.
Yep. Spent it all with my family.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
good
pretty.
To be back.
Yeah, this is I think my second day back in the actual office and getting out back into the world. So, man, yeah. Did you have a good Christmas? Good holidays?
I did.
Yeah.
I had a good Christmas, man. It was a lot of toys and.
You got a lot of toys, or
I got a lot of toys.
I got a lot of toys. Yeah.
I'm using some of them.
You are, yeah. Some of the lighting and stuff that we got here.
Got some toys.
Technology,
yeah.
We got my son got his first Thomas the Train set.
Oh wow!
And I've been enjoying it as much as he does.
Right. We got these Hot Wheels sort of tracks, and one of them is one that goes up and around, and you can put multiple cars on it, and they sort of crash.
They race and stuff.
They sort of go.
Are they battery operated or?
The whole thing is, but the cars are not.
Okay.
But the cars, you put the regular Hot Wheels cars, and they go around the track, and it shoots them around fast, and then they run into each other at some point. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So.
How big are the cars? Like the Hot Wheel cars that we grew up with? Matchbox cars? Okay.
Cars, yeah. And then we got a bunch of my youngest son, Abram, got a bunch of monster trucks. So we play with those a lot too.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, we got a few monster trucks as well. Lucas got a few of those.
Yeah.
He got the Thomas the Train set. And so he has 2 different Thomases that are battery operated. So our train set is not operated. But the cool thing about it goes, like the tracks go up and down in 2 different directions.
There you go.
So then when it gets to the top, there's a little stop that catches it.
Right.
And then you have to push the stop sign down so it goes to a lever. And then you grab him with this one piece, like you push it over. He goes on the track, and then there's a gate, and then you pull it over here, and then the gate opens up, and he goes over.
Oh, man.
So you have to be involved with it.
Yeah, I mean, I can play with those toys all day. So,
I never knew. I never had a train track growing up, so I had no idea what I was missing out on.
Some trains, but these toys are too much fun.
Yeah. We're gonna have to get Luke and Abram back together pretty soon.
Right.
Especially with all the cars that you have over there, toys over there. Definitely gonna need to bring them by.
Bring them over.
So so a lot's been going on in the sports world the past. Hey, thanks for checking out the CLT Life. If you like the content we're creating, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell. Thanks so much for your support. Last couple of weeks, so Carolina Panthers right on Christmas Eve came out and played their most dominant game of the year, beating the Detroit Lions out in the parking lot.
Yeah, this is what Shaq Thompson said.
Yeah, pretty much playing on asphalt and on that field in Bank of America Stadium, and being in the having a legitimate shot at making the playoffs until last week. Disappointing loss against the Buccaneers. They were up 14-0. I think we gave up 20 points in the fourth quarter, and just let Tampa get back in and take control of the game. So
and I wanted to see Sam Darnold. I wanted to see the whole team play in a meaningful game.
Yeah.
Right. Like we've been playing all these games, and since we started off so poorly, it didn't really seem like the games mattered as far as making it to the postseason or whatnot. Mm-hmm. So, but you started to see the team establish a rhythm. They sort of
the run game,
established an identity. Mm-hmm. We knew how they wanted to play on offense as far as getting Foreman and Hubbard involved. And then still allowing Darnold to make some throws at times, get DJ Moore involved, so forth. So you started to see the identity evolve, but the game still didn't mean anything until they won a couple of games and still had a chance to win the division with the way Tampa was playing, because they weren't playing great.
Tampa was losing games.
Tampa was losing games as well. So it's and we had a 3-1 record. In the division.
Yeah.
So at that point, we're like, wow, we played so poorly, but we're still alive. And then, so you wanted to see what it looked like against Brady and the Bucs and whatnot. And at first, you thought, there's a chance.
They came out hot. They were up 14-0.
Right.
Really dominating. And when when we went into halftime at 14-10, it was like, man, we dominated this first half.
We really did.
We should have been up more than that. There was a couple of moments in the game. There were two pivotal moments, and not counting any turnovers or anything, but when I think back on that game, two moments that stand out. One was actually a coach's decision I think it was in the first quarter. Mm-hmm. They were around midfield. We were driving, fourth and short. Had all the momentum. Yeah. Looked like we could have made that, converted that, and we ended up punting, giving them the ball back. And I felt like we definitely left it. I feel like we left at least 3 points on the field, possibly 7 points. Maybe we could have gotten to a point where we had an insurmountable lead. You know, if you're up 21-0, maybe that takes the wind out of their sails, and Tampa doesn't come back. And then the other big play was I remember sitting there when Tampa finally took the lead. They went ahead 24-21, I think it was. And I was like, all right, now we're going to see what Sam Darnold's all about.
Right.
I think there's about 6 minutes left in the game. Mm-hmm. We're going to see what he can do. We're going to see what these Panthers can do right now. And on that very first play, it was a sack fumble.
Yeah.
And that was not Sam's fault.
You mean when
Ekwonu got beat.
When Ekwonu got beat, yeah.
Ekwonu got beat, yeah. He had a devastating on that last touchdown drive. I think it was a touchdown drive that we had. I remember he had this devastating block.
The one they replayed?
Yeah.
He drove him, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I think that was on the last touchdown, maybe.
Right.
And then, on the drive when we had to come back and score, he got beat in his pass technique.
Yeah.
But you remember game one, he gave up a sack to Myles Garrett early on, I think, and then he had like a 10-11 game stretch where he didn't give up any sacks at all.
He's played well. He's
played
really well. So I don't hold anything against any of the guys. There was the one fumbled snap in the shotgun. Yeah. When sort of Darnold wasn't ready for the snap and Bozeman snapped it, I think, and then the Darnold interceptions,
that was the first one in 4 games.
First one in 4 games, so he's been playing well. But this is what we wanted to see. When you're playing for something and the other team, even though Tampa Bay hadn't been playing well, they're still talented. It's still Tom Brady. Yeah. They're 2 years removed from a Super Bowl. And full disclosure, I had Mike Evans. I picked him in DraftKings that week because we were down all of our cornerbacks. Yeah. So essentially, you're already down Dante Jackson,
and J.C. Horn's out.
J.C. Horn to a broken wrist. So I'm like, we don't have a secondary. We don't have corners that can cover Godwin, Mike Evans.
And then we picked up Josh
Gage.
Norman.
Yeah, out of Starbucks.
Who played 2 games.
Right.
He played 2 games. Yeah.
Barista at Starbucks, and he couldn't guard Mike Evans when he was in good shape.
Right.
You know what I mean? 6 or 7 years ago. We couldn't stop Mike Evans or Julio Jones.
So who's our best corner? We keep putting Franklin on all these guys, and he keeps getting burned.
C.J. Henderson, I guess, we don't have a best corner. Yeah. We don't have a best corner. So, but anyway, and Mike Evans got 50 points. So he scored 3 touchdowns in this. What were they all in the second half? No, he might have got
scored one in the first. They were all on deep passes, though.
And it was the same. It looked like the same route. The result was the same.
The result was the same.
It looked the same every time the camera panned to Mike Evans.
It's the go route, slant go maybe, or go route.
And he was gone. And he caught it and sort of high-stepped into the end zone.
Caught it in stride. Didn't have anybody near him.
Just make sure you don't get tripped up before you get in the end zone. And that's kind of, so anyway, what can you do? That was our weakness in at this point in the season because we don't have those corners, and they exploited it. And Evans hadn't scored since week 4, which is the longest drought of his career. So it was sort of,
Remember the first time we played him, their first or second play of the game, they tried to go deep, and he bobbled the ball and didn't catch it. Yeah. And we ended up winning that game 21-3 when we played him here in Charlotte. And but he was wide open on that one. And I remember the announcers in this game were saying, they need to take a downfield shot to Mike Evans twice every quarter.
Yeah, just to do it.
Just to do it twice a quarter. He might not complete every single one, and I don't know if he completed every one, but he had over 200 yards. And it was to me, it was the most dominant receiver game against the Panthers since Julio Jones. Yeah, I mean, when he was at Atlanta, he's on the Bucs as well.
He's on the Bucs.
But when he was in Atlanta in his prime. And that was a game that sent Bené Benwickery packing, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
He got torched.
He got
But at this point, you can't really blame the guys. Not that you can't blame them, but they're not starters, and
Like
they were
Franklin, you mean,
exposed. Franklin and Henry. They were exposed.
Henderson's a starter. He's supposed to be a starter. He's a top 10 former first-round pick.
But you'd rather have J.C. Horn on Mike Evans. There's just no way around it. You'd rather have J.C. Horn on Mike Evans in a pivotal game, in a game that can decide whether or not you make the playoffs, right?
I was listening.
Even Dante Jackson, I'd give him,
Yeah, well, on FNZ, Wes Bryant was talking, and his whole thing was that cornerback isn't that important. It's not the quarterback. It's not
right.
The cornerback can't go out there and win a game, because he was basically saying that the loss of J.C. Horn. This is before that game.
Yeah,
he was saying the loss of J.C. Horn shouldn't be that big a deal. But I mean, when you have an up and coming corner who's potentially a shutdown corner, we saw what he did against DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf. Yeah, he having him out there against Mike Evans, at least slows him down.
It might have made it, in a game that was hard fought, in which we had the lead. Going into halftime, you want your best players available, and we didn't have them. And of course, you can say, look, if Brian Burns or Haynes and those guys on the edge, Gross Matos, if they can get to Tom Brady and make him more uncomfortable.
I think Gross Matos got him once, but Burns had a quiet game.
Yeah, he had a quiet game, but you expect those guys to get some pressure, and they did at first. Early in the game, we did have Brady off his spots and sort of scrambling to make plays, which never been his forte.
Yeah.
So, it just the Bucs made an adjustment to exploit our weaknesses, and it worked. And it worked to perfection for them. And so now we move on, because what can you do? That's over. We move on. And we still got the Saints.
Yeah, we got one game left against the Saints.
And we can sort of...
Who they won last week.
Which they won, and they played, for all intents and purposes, I guess they played pretty solid, because that was the Eagles.
That was the Eagles, yeah.
Who will probably or maybe be the 1 seed in the NFC
without Dallas,
without Jalen Hurts, and who have looked good on all sides of the ball, defense, offense, and special teams all year. But the Saints are a good team. The Saints are not a bad team. They just... Andy Dalton at quarterback, you are what you are. So, we move forward and we try to end the season strong with a victory against a division opponent, a rival. And then we'll see what happens with Coach Wilks moving forward. A lot of people want to see him be the head coach. And I'm not opposed to him being the head coach, but there's talk about Jim Harbaugh maybe leaving Michigan and coming. And I'm fully in Steve Wilks' corner, right? Like, if Tepper gave him the job today, I would be very happy.
Yeah.
But you got to talk to Jim Harbaugh if Jim Harbaugh is interested in the job.
Yeah.
You got to at least talk to him.
They have to open up. Do they have to open it up anyway?
I think so.
Could they just...
At least the Rooney Rule, they have to interview at least 2 minorities outside of the building.
Okay.
So they at least have to do that.
Even if they have somebody internally that they promoted?
Yeah, outside of the, they have to at least interview outside of the building.
Does any team ever really hire, like in the NFL, you see when a coach gets fired mid-season, then there's always the interim head coach.
Right.
You never really see a new head coach being hired during the season, right? It's always interim.
No. Yeah, and logistically, how does that work? Because a new coach, what would he do? Just stay in the background and sort of wait?
Well, I mean, that coach, they made the interim. Like, you never see him remove the interim tag during the season.
No. Oh, remove the interim
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Can they, like, with the Rooney Rule, can you remove that tag?
Okay, so could you make Wilks the
head coach without interviewing?
That I don't know. I don't know if you could. That's a good question.
At this point, I don't really know that you should.
No, you shouldn't.
And even if he had, let's say he goes like 10-0 or something like that.
Right.
I think Steve Wilks has done a fine job. And when I say fine, I don't mean like fine, like okay. I mean like fine, like really. He's done a great job. With this team, with coming into a team that was 1-5, that was really reeling. The whole situation that we've had at quarterback. Panthers they're 5-3 in their last 8 games.
Right.
Had a chance to get into the playoffs. Had Wilks been the head coach all year long, are we the division winner? you don't know, but there's a decent chance.
Right. Guess we'll never know.
Guess we'll never.
But,
yeah, I mean, but
he did a good job, and he gave us an identity.
He gave us an identity, yeah.
And so, whoever comes in behind him, or if he keeps the job, you know where your strengths are, offensively and defensively, with the talent you have right now. Now, if you go draft a quarterback, I'm starting to think Sam Darnold can be a bridge quarterback. I wasn't sure, but if Sam Darnold can give you the type of production he's given you in the last 4 or 5 games.
Well, you're not getting C.J. Stroud now. You're not getting unless he really falls.
Right.
The way he played.
Where are we projected?
Where are we projected right now?
Yeah, are we out of the top 10 now? Because we're not a playoff team, so
that's true. Let's look it up.
Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, those guys will probably be the first 2. And Stroud looked good to me. I
thought Stroud looked really good.
And he might have done enough to, in a big game, to sort of overtake Bryce Young. He's bigger, In some people's eyes, he might be the favorite to be the number 1 overall pick.
I think this article I'm looking at right now, it looks like we're slotted 9th.
Yeah, slide 9th. So we've got a top 10. So you start looking at who needs quarterbacks, and
so the Texans are picking first. Texans need a quarterback.
And they'll probably take a quarterback.
Yep. The Bears don't need a quarterback. No.
Broncos,
Seahawks. So the Seahawks get that pick from the Broncos,
they probably
right?
will take a quarterback.
Yeah, they got Geno, but he's getting a little bit older as well.
Yep.
Cardinals, you got Kyler Murray. Colts
could very possibly take a quarterback.
Rams. This is Rams from the Lions. So they still have Stafford.
Right.
Are they looking to the future?
That should be the Lions from the Rams.
Is it the Lions from the Rams? Yeah. Okay. Well, Jared Goff has been playing a whole lot better this year.
And that's the question mark.
Raiders, they just benched Derek Carr, so they definitely
market.
Yeah. Falcons, I'd say, unless they're going to go with Desmond Ritter, there's a good chance they need a quarterback as well. So that
puts us in the 5th or 6th. Maybe the 5th or 6th option.
Yeah. So at that point, if your top, let's say your top 3 quarterbacks are off the table, by then, do you go for your 4th quarterback with the 9th overall pick, or do you?
It's tough.
Do you pick? What if there's a guy out there like Johnson, the wide receiver at TCU, who's still available on the board,
or Will Anderson from Alabama,
yeah, defense. He's a linebacker, right?
He's a linebacker, yeah.
Kind of do it all type
linebacker,
like a type player.
And maybe, and he's he's bigger.
Yeah. 2-time defensive player of the year. I think it's the Nagurski Award.
Nagurski, yeah,
which they do here in Charlotte, actually.
Yes. So if I'm the Panthers and my quarterbacks, my first round guys, or the guys I have a first round grade on, if they're not available, I'm probably looking at somebody like Will Anderson, or I'm trying to shore up the. We definitely need linebackers. So if he's there, I'm probably keying in on him, and then also. Our O-line. I'm still trying to make our O-line stronger because Kwanwu was a great pick, I think.
Yeah. No, he was the guy that we needed to pick this year.
And our line has been strong, but we can go from having it be a weakness the last few years to an absolute strength if we can, sort of give those guys a little bit more support with the high draft pick.
I like the idea if Will Anderson's there too of picking, and that's around. I think we got Kuechly around the 8 or 9. Slot when we got him.
Yeah.
And you talk about identity. Like when you think of Carolina Panthers, one of the things you think about is linebacker position.
Yeah.
When you had Kuechly and Davis together, we've had some great linebackers.
John Beeson
back in the day. Dan Morgan. Doubtful Dan Morgan, they used to call him because all the concussions.
He was a lot of shots to the head.
I was saying that was one of those nicknames, like we were saying with Gordon Hayward.
Well, yeah,
Gordon Dayward.
Gordon Dayward. Yeah.
But yeah, I think if you have if you can get one of your top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the first round, all right, you go for that.
Because we'll be looking at Hendon Hooker too, right? And so
all
the way down to Anthony Richardson. Maybe.
Anthony Richardson. So those are guys you might be able to get in the second round.
Will Levis. From Kentucky,
he's the guy that puts mayo in his coffee. Drinks mayo in his coffee.
Jeez. Yikes. I don't know that we want that.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's too much for me.
I mean, we like mayonnaise in the South, though. We do like Duke's mayo.
You saw the guy chugging the mayo at the bowl game?
I didn't. Who was that?
Yeah, some random fan just chugging mayo. Yeah, it was weird. It's strange. So,
wow.
Yeah. Then what about the Hornets?
Yeah, the Hornets. Hornets suck.
Is that right?
So I mean, the Hornets. We had so much last year. Hornets were one of the most fun young teams to watch last year, and we had real high expectations coming into the season. This was going to be the off season where we signed Miles Bridges to a lucrative extension,
right.
And then he had the legal trouble that he had, so that messed that up. Obviously, we've had a lot of injuries going on. You wonder about draft picks a little bit too, like why we always seem to draft somebody who is not an impact player right away. It seems like that's the history. But except for LaMelo Ball, I can't really remember. And before him, Kemba Walker, I can't really remember any rookies that ever came in and made an impact. No. In our last few high picks, like Book Knight, he's looking like a bust.
I mean, or at least he's just immature. At the very least, he's pretty immature.
His thing is supposed to be scoring, and he's not. I mean, at the level
he can't. I think the sort of the immaturity starts to impact his all around game, his ability to just focus and make the right plays at the right time. Do the things that you need to do to be a consistent player that a coach can depend on. I don't think falling asleep in your rookie, I guess in your second season, falling asleep with a gun in your lap,
right before the season, during training camp, right?
In training camp, it's
in a car,
passed out drunk. That's just, it's not a good look, and so it's starting to feel like a Malik Monk situation all over again. Pretty talented guy, but
he's finally starting to find his game a little bit out in Sacramento, isn't he?
But it's taken 6 years, it's taken 5 or 6 years, and we don't have that luxury at all. Not many teams do.
Yeah, I mean, I was excited. I like the Mark Williams pick.
It was fine. Jalen Duren from Memphis, a lot of people were high on him, and he's having an impact in Detroit. But they have a completely young team, and their expectations are really low. And so, our expectations were higher. But I think management probably punted on the season after the Miles situation, right around the draft. It totally messed up our draft because we traded away the pick before Mark Williams, right? Like we basically traded that away for nothing. So we come out with just Mark Williams, who we sent to the G League, and he's just now starting to get some time with the big boys. And we don't have Miles Bridges, so we lost our second best player.
Yeah.
And didn't have a great draft and didn't really sign free agents other than Dennis Smith.
Dennis Smith, he was off to a solid start. He's had some injuries, I think, right?
Yes.
Gordon Hayward's been out a lot. Kelly Oubre just went out.
Everybody's taking a turn.
Yeah,
LaMelo's been out.
Who?
LaMelo.
Yeah, LaMelo's been out.
Injury.
Yep. Martin's been out the whole season.
Oh, he played last night.
Did he play last night for the first time?
His first game, I think it was. So he played last night, and so you expect a little rust there, but yeah, it's it's been a tough season as a fan.
Yeah, I mean, we're halfway through the season, and they're 10-29, so that's 3 and 2 more games. That'll be halfway through the season.
Right.
You got 10 wins. At least it's better than that 7-win season. That was the strike shortened season too, though.
I was a season ticket holder that season.
They were like 7 and 50 something, right?
That was a waste of money. That was Michael Jordan. Can I get my money back, Mike?
From 10 years ago? 12 years ago.
Can we get our money back from that season?
So, I mean, with the Hornets, I think, I remember you saying before the season started that it might be a tank season.
It is. Because
and I didn't realize that.
The prize is so lucrative.
Wembanyama,
the French kid is, he's a generational talent. And so, and Scoot Henderson, the guy who a lot of people think might go second, he's very good as well. And if you put him in the backcourt with LaMelo, you become a little bit more explosive. Terry Rozier, his contract's got to be coming up, so who knows what's going to happen with him because he's valuable. He's a instant offense type guy, and on a lot of teams, he'd probably be a great sixth man. So it's just, I don't know. we're going to have some decisions to make, and whether they re-sign Miles Bridges or not, which they probably can, even if they end up trying to work out a deal to move him. Somebody's going to sign him.
He's going to play somewhere.
So he still has.
He's not going to get that big contract that he was going to get before.
He's not. He's not. And I don't know.
He's lost all that leverage.
Yeah, he's lost all of his leverage. He's lucky to have a job at this point. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what Mitch Kupchak and then obviously Michael Jordan sort of decide that the path should be. And the draft order will probably have a lot to do with what decisions we make, because if you can get Wembanyama, then you're all in on him, and you figure out the rest. But if you can't get him, then you're trying to assemble.
Well, even you have a lottery system, right? Was it the three? Is it the three worst records get are guaranteed a top 3 pick?
Well, yeah, and they have like a 12 to 15% chance, I think, at the number 1 overall pick. So
if you have the worst record,
yeah, well. Yes, based on record.
Yeah, it's based on record, and then I think the three worst records are all guaranteed
of a top 3 pick. But then they also have like a 12 to 15% chance, I believe, at the overall, the number 1 overall pick.
Gotcha. But it's not like the NFL where if you have the worst record, you're guaranteed that you're getting the number 1 pick.
No,
they try to.
It's not.
They try to keep you from
discourage
tanking a little bit, but sometimes.
Well, and this year, people I think would be willing to pay a penalty, to tank. Because Wembanyama would be worth it.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. It'll definitely be fun, because there are going to be some tanking teams at the end of the season. Like, teams are trying to hold it together right now for the fans and for appearances.
The race to the bottom.
Yeah, but in March, after the All-Star break, teams are going to be trying to lose as much as they can. So.
And thank God in the Carolinas for ACC basketball and March Madness, because we'll have something to watch.
Speaking of, it looked like State knocked off Duke last night.
Wow.
And so Shire's now lost at Wake Forest, at Duke. At NC State and at Wake Forest, and then Carolina beat Wake in Chapel Hill, which they're supposed to do, but it was a pretty back and forth game there for a while.
Yeah, my Boos are 2-2 in the ACC,
and they were ranked.
We were ranked as high as number 2 at one point. Yeah.
So, ACC basketball is always good to get us through. To get us through some
the winter,
poor Charlotte Hornets.
All right, we ready? Let's go. You going? The camera's this way.
I know, but I got to turn this way.
Yeah. All right.